Tom Thibodeau, aka Thibs, Jalen Brunson. Adversity strikes again for the Knicks. Color me shocked. This is Sports Guy Talking that you guys are watching and listening to. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about the Knicks needing to win Game 5 at home badly against the Pacers in the second round of the NBA playoffs. The Knicks-Pacers series is currently tied at 2-2, despite the Knicks being favored by a good amount of basketball fans to win this series. Knicks superstar Jalen Brunson has been sensational throughout the NBA playoffs this year, although he is currently playing on an injured foot. Before I say anything else, though, I want to present you guys with a topic question. So, here it is. Are you still confident in the Knicks winning the series? Absolutely. On a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of the confidence that I have in the Knicks winning the series, I'm going to say it's at a 7. I'm not going to say I'm overly confident, but I am confident enough that the Knicks are going to find a way to win this series. And not only are they going to win this series, they are going to win this series in 6 games. They're not even going to need a Game 7 to win this series against the Indiana Pacers. Why? Because of the fact that I still believe in Jalen Brunson. Yes, I know Jalen Brunson had a bad game against the Indiana Pacers in Game 4. Guess what, though? It's not going to happen again, because I truly believe that Jalen Brunson is going to have a phenomenal Game 5, and he's also going to have a pretty good Game 6 as well. And you also look at how the Knicks are the better team compared to the Pacers. And I know that the New York Knicks right now are banged up with injuries to a lot of their rotational players, but when you compare them roster to roster, player to player, coach to coach, they all have the advantage in that department. I believe that Rick Carlisle has not really done that good of a coaching job for the Indiana Pacers in this series. If he was smart, he would play TJ McConnell more minutes, but he hasn't done that nearly often enough. And he also needs to let Tyrese Halliburton be more of a scorer, which to his credit, he did realize that Tyrese Halliburton needed to do that after Game 2. The problem with the Indiana Pacers is they haven't really been good on the road whatsoever in the NBA playoffs. The Indiana Pacers have only won 1 game when they are not playing at home in this year's playoffs, and a big reason for that is because of the fact that Tyrese Halliburton has not really been a great player on the road. Now, Tyrese Halliburton, when he's at home, has been a productive player, but Tyrese Halliburton on the road just plays like a role player. He's not really anything special when he plays on the road. You also look how the Indiana Pacers, they generally don't play any defense whatsoever. You look at how the Indiana Pacers are one of the worst defenses in all of basketball, and I know that their offense is prolific, but when you talk about playoff basketball, what's more important, offense or defense? Personally, I believe defense is more important. Now, to the Pacers' credit, they played phenomenal in Game 4 against the New York Knicks, which was a big reason why they blew the Knicks out of the gym. You look at how the Indiana Pacers, they were already up by 20 points by the end of the first quarter, and a big reason for that was because of how badly the Knicks starters played. You look at Hartenstein, he only put up 4 points in 22 minutes of action. They need more production from Hartenstein if you're the New York Knicks. Jalen Brunson obviously played a horrible game. Yes, he still managed to get 18 points and 5 assists, but Jalen Brunson has been playing by superstar standards in this year's playoffs. They need Jalen Brunson to go average 30 plus points the rest of the way through, which I believe Jalen Brunson will be able to do because he is a great basketball player and he's had a phenomenal season for the New York Knicks. In fact, Jalen Brunson right now is probably one of the most underrated players in the National Basketball Association, mainly because of the fact that Jalen Brunson has been able to score so many points in this year's playoffs, and he has made clutch shot after clutch shot. And of course, you have to shout out Josh Hart. I know that outside of Game 4, he really hasn't had any rest time whatsoever, but the good news is, since the New York Knicks were getting blown out so badly, they pulled Josh Hart out of the game early, which means he's going to be fresh for Games 5 and 6. And we all know that Josh Hart is the ultimate energy guy. Yeah, he might not score a lot of points, but he's going to grab you a lot of offensive rebounds, and he's going to give great perimeter defense, which is something that you can't say about a lot of today's NBA players. I like the way how Josh Hart plays and is infectious to the rest of the Knicks team. He is the ultimate glue guy, and I believe Josh Hart is going to go back to being a productive player in Games 5 and 6. And of course, you got Dante DiVincenzo. I know he had a horrible Game 4 against the Indiana Pacers. He only made 7 points in that ball game, but I believe DiVincenzo is going to play better than he did in Game 4 because he's going to find a way to get his 3-point shot going. We've seen DiVincenzo play productive basketball for the New York Knicks this year, and I truly believe that DiVincenzo is going to get his A game back in Games 5 and 6. And of course, you look at the New York Knicks bench, they really haven't done a whole lot in general, although Burks has been playing pretty solid for the Knicks as of late. So maybe that's something the New York Knicks could kind of look into in terms of production. And of course, if they can get OG Anunoby back for Game 5, which doesn't seem too likely, that would be huge as well. But I don't think they need Anunoby back for Game 5. I think the Indiana Pacers are still not going to beat the New York Knicks by the end of Game 5, even without OG Anunoby for the New York Knicks, mainly because of the fact that the Pacers have had trouble winning on the road. They've been a great team at home this year, but on the road, they really haven't been good whatsoever. And you obviously look at how OG Anunoby is probably going to be back for Game 6 anyway. And I think OG Anunoby, even though he doesn't put up great stats, he's still a productive basketball player. He's the glue guy for the Knicks. When OG Anunoby is not in the lineup, the New York Knicks are a completely different basketball team. As far as what Tom Thibodeau isn't telling you about Jalen Brunson, he's not telling you that Jalen Brunson is not 100% healthy right now, and he's not telling you that Jalen Brunson is ready to explode in Games 5 and 6. Why else did they pull Jalen Brunson out of that game early? Because they wanted to give him energy to rest up for what happened in Game 4. He knew that the New York Knicks were not going to go ahead and win Game 4. So he said, you know what, starters, I'm going to give you the rest of the afternoon off. Let's wait till Tuesday. Let's rest up. Let's try to get healthy. And guess what? We're going to go ahead and be a great basketball team on Tuesday night, which is tonight ultimately. And I believe that the New York Knicks are going to go ahead and win Game 5 in Madison Square Garden. Do I think it's going to be a close game? Absolutely, because the New York Knicks never win an easy game, but they're going to find a way to keep the game close. And more importantly, they're going to end up winning the game. And then they're going to go ahead and win Game 6 at Indiana. I know the New York Knicks never like to win the easy way, and we know Game 6 at Indiana is going to be a tough game. I believe this game's going to be close, but ultimately the New York Knicks are going to come out victorious. I think this blowout loss to the Indiana Pacers forced on the New York Knicks was actually a blessing in disguise for the New York Knicks, mainly because of the fact that now the New York Knicks have to go ahead and correct their mistakes ASAP, and we all know that Tom Thibodeau is going to drill those mistakes onto those players, so that way they're going to remember and they're not going to make the same mistake twice. One thing that I love about this New York Knicks team is that they do a phenomenal job not beating themselves with mistakes. Too many times I have seen a basketball team go out there on the floor and they lose games because they make mistakes by themselves. That's not the New York Knicks. What are the New York Knicks known for? They're known for managing the game really well. They don't turn over the basketball a lot. They give effort on defense and they get rebounds. Like what Pat Riley once said, no rebounds, no rings. That statement cannot ring any true than that. And obviously the New York Knicks emphasize rebounding more than any other team in the National Basketball Association, which is a big reason for why they've been so good to begin with this year. And I truly believe that the New York Knicks are going to win the series in 6 games. I know before the series started, I said that the Indiana Pacers would lose the series in 5 games. I was wrong about that. Instead, the New York Knicks are going to come out victorious in the series. They're going to close it out at Indiana. They're going to find a way to win this series in 6 games, and they're going to go to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in a very long time. Obviously, the New York Knicks have never made the Eastern Conference Finals during my lifetime. I was born in 2002, and obviously the New York Knicks have been a horrible franchise since that time, minus the Carmelo Anthony years where they were actually kind of decent. And obviously you look at the current era of New York Knicks basketball where they've been really good, but you can just tell that the injuries are starting to pile up for the Knicks. Mitchell Robinson, he's not 100% right now. He's been a phenomenal rim protector for the New York Knicks this year. You look at how Jalen Brunson, he's not 100% healthy right now. He's got a foot injury that he's been dealing with, although I believe he can overcome that injury as well. And of course, you've got Julius Randle, who's been out due to injury, even though I actually think that's been a blessing in disguise for the New York Knicks. The reason I say that is because we all know that Julius Randle is a playoff liability. We know that regular season Julius Randle is a good player. He makes all-star appearances. He's a productive player for the New York Knicks, but we all know that Julius Randle in the postseason turns into absolute trash and that he's an absolute scrub come postseason time. So that might actually be a blessing in disguise. And of course, they've got the OG Anunoby injury that has obviously hurt the New York Knicks. Those guys are just pretty banged up and pretty tired right now. In a way, you could say that a blowout loss for the New York Knicks in Game 4 was far better than having a close loss in Game 4, mainly because of the fact that their rotational guys actually got rest in the 4th quarter as they got to play some reserve guys, something that you don't normally say about Tom Thibodeau. We all know Tom Thibodeau likes to play his guys to the ground and that he will maximize their energy to the highest amount of use. But obviously with that blowout loss, there was no reason to keep the starters in for the 4th quarter, which means they got some much needed rest. And you know what? The New York Knicks are going to come out firing in Game 5, and they're going to be great, and they're going to be able to beat the Indiana Pacers in Game 5. They're also going to win Game 6 as well. I think the Knicks are going to win this series in 6 games. I'm not even worried that the Knicks are going to lose this series. They're going to find a way to get the job done, and ultimately they're going to go back to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in a very long time. If you're a Knicks fan, you still got to believe in them. Don't be a bandwagon guy and jump off their wagon when the going gets tough. Keep sticking with the Knicks even when they're losing, because they're still going to win the series. So that is why I am still confident in the Knicks winning this series, as they will end up beating the Pacers in Game 5 on their home floor. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking. Like the video and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That'll be for the @Dustin Tran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram @Dustin Tran and that Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter @Dustin Tran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video. Comment down below. Check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel, Sports Guy Talking.